Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Henry S. Dubar, for coming to the Commission to clarify some of the very important issues during the course of our conflict period. I would like to take you back to April 15, 1980. When the Commission officers were in prison, you were released that day and appointed as Chief of Staff of the Army. What happened to the other soldiers? If you
The
remember.
rest of the officers?
Yes, the rest of the officers.
They were given positions as well.
Can you remember some of them by name and whether they are still around?
When I became Chief of Staff, those that went away had foreign training, they were my staff. I took them from jail and made them my staff. Yes, they are around. Majority of them died, but few are around.
Can you call anyone who's still around Monrovia by name?
General Kpingba Waakona, he was my deputy at the time. General Hezekiah Boyne, he was one of my battalion commander. General Philip Kama, he was commandant of the Todman Military Academy at the time. He's still around. Brigadier General Morris T. Zeze, he was the commanding general at the time when Kwiwangba came. He's still around. General Jerry Menye, he's still around. And so many others.
Thank you very much for that information.
Okay.
You served the AFL for nearly 10 years as Chief of Staff.
Yes.
I would like for you to please clarify, in 1981, Thomas Wesson and 12 other soldiers were executed for an attempted coup of a coup. Could you comment on that, please?
Yes. In August 1981, to be exact, August 2nd, I left here for United States for further training. If you can read my brief, I went for orientation course, 1 month orientation course. In the Army, before you become a Chief of Staff, you must be a graduate of the Command and General Staff College. I never went to Command and General Staff College, so when I became Chief of Staff, the Chief of U.S. Military Mission assigned to Defense Ministry at the time said, well, we'll send you for orientation course. As a general, you don't have to sit in the classroom, but you go to Fort Bragg and just sit with general how they do their work for 1 month, then you have an idea. There I was when they executed Wesson and 5 others. Thank you.
We also noticed that during the TRC time, there were numerous coup d'etat and execution. Were they genuine? Did they actually happen?
You got to be specific. I'm not aware.
I mean, besides Wesson, Nicholas Podia, who was the vice chair at the time.
Okay. Yes, I can. At I told you previously that the American people asked us when we'll return to barracks. We told them after 5 years. Before 5 years, there were numerous complaints about PRC. They were not educated and so forth. So Doe called members of the TRC. He said, gentlemen, we are approaching the end of 5 years. We have to do something. I will retire you people with your full salary, with the exception of Podia, Colley, what do you call his first name? Abraham Colley and Jeffrey Batu. Jeffrey Batu said, no, I won't go back to school. So you give me scholarship. So Batu left and went to the States. Those said, Podia, I will run. I want you to be Senator for Sando County. Abraham Colley, I want you to be Senator for, you can run to be Senator for Lofa County. And that was it. It would appear to me that they were not satisfied of Doe deserving the PRC, but for those that they retired with their full salary, they were happy. So after that, Podia left and went to Paris. On his way back, he came with 2 Marines to stay Shakur. He came through Nimba and he was arrested. As they say, he put up resistance and he was shot and killed. The 2 Americans were brought down Monrovia. They were put in jail. We call Ambassador Bishop, and later on they were free. That's what I know.
I want to take you back.
Yes.
To the comment made initially by you concerning the Malaysia. I know
Yes.
2 of my colleagues have been asking you some question on that. I still want some clarity. You said if you are close with the authority, you will rescind the decision by the PRC to dissolve the militia. So my question is,
No. Said, maybe you are misquoting me. You say what?
the militia. The question was, why was the militia, what's your view on the militia at the time, whether it's necessary? You say you were not in the position to make decisions, but if you had the power, you could rescind that decision.
Or to rescind?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, going back to the militia, I just want to know, besides the militia being the first line of defense, what are some of the responsibility or the role of the militia? What do you think is necessary? Because I'm seeing this because I know besides the militia, in some other time we have this reserve officer training course in various schools. And during the war, most young people didn't see it necessary. So now you being a trained soldier, I just want you to make some comments why you think this is necessary.
If PRC had not suspended the militia training or not suspended the militia training, today we will not have problem with the demobilized soldiers because everybody would have been trained and know what to do. That's the reason. That's the only reason I got. Because everybody would have been trained, know what to do, but for fear, when they took over, they suspended the militia ROTC, and When we had war on hand, people that were not trained at all, they were just recruited. And that's the problem we're facing today. Thank you.
We have the AFL, the police, that are responsible for the security. And then you say, saying that if everybody had prior knowledge, be trained to some extent, then we wouldn't have the problem we're having now. That's the reason.
No. You talked about militia.
Yes, militia.
Because there was no militia, so we as president, the president has a constitutional right to bring people to augment the strength of the army to fight in case of emergency. That's the president's constitutional right to mobilize citizens to fight. If militia were in existence, they would have known what to do. But because militia was suspended, so we brought in people, mobilized people that were not trained. I did not say police and security, no.
No, I'm not saying that. It's okay. Thank you for that. As a professional soldier, we have been hearing a lot of interaction by the LFF, the Liberian Frontier Force, how they treated the civilian at that time. And according to your statement, you was once a member of the Liberian Frontier Force. I want you to please tell us, because most people not aware, because you are being part of it initially, what was some of your duties? How did you treat civilians? The hot tax you collected, who did you give it to? Who was responsible for the tax collection, and what was the money used for?
Well, let me just tell you, 61, late Harrison Grisby was then the Secretary of War, now the Ministry of Defense, and there were a lot of illiterate soldiers. You go on this person's farm, you stay there 2-3 months or 1 year, 2 years, they just put you in the army because you've been on the farm and all this kind of thing. So Secretary Grisby decided he wanted civilized people. So we were the first civilized, educated people that joined 1961 in BTC. We were about 300. Grady Allison, Rashford Watson, Raymond Orland, William Dix, Henry Hoff, all of us. And that's the time we joined. So the mad treatment of LFF soldiers by civilians, we didn't do that. We, in fact, erased it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
General Dubar, we want to thank you for coming and also testifying before the TRC. From your resume, we gathered there from that you were recruited procedurally, trained, and served the armed forces of Liberia. And at the time of the coup, you was a captain, a position that gives you the opportunity to command a company. This signifies that you were in a military leadership at the time of the coup. So my question is, what can you say at least from your position at the time, that was the general condition of the armed forces of Liberia, moral and otherwise?
Well, you know, in the army, our duty is to obey, obey, obey. So, whatever condition we're living in, it's our duty before complaint. But the 17 enlisted men went ahead and do what they were able to do, but that's why they were afraid of us, and that's why they put us in jail. They said, well, you people, everything that happened to you, you just swallow it. So that was it.
Do you agree that the conditions at the time necessitated a dramatic, violent change?
Well, I wouldn't say a violent change. That's what we were looking for. But I'm not a politician. Violent change is nobody crave for violent change. But after 135 years, there were people that advocated for change. They were talking to no avail. And probably that's what necessitated the coup. I may be wrong.
And therefore justifiable?
No. We should have continued with advocacy instead of violent change.
You said that when the TRC took over the government, among the things that it did was to appoint a supreme military tribunal, and that this tribunal was the one responsible to hear the then arrested and detained politicians. Did you play any role in the nomination, recommendation, or setup of this commission, of this court, in any form or manner? Being an experienced officers at the time who enjoyed the respect of the PRC.
Commissioner Kafuma, let me tell you the truth. When they brought me from Grand Jede, they said that I was appointed chief of staff. The first thought that came to my mind, I wanted to say I decline. Then the other heart said, look, if you say you decline, you will be killed. Because I was not part of them. And so I told my wife I said, carry the children home, because I was afraid. Setting up of the Supreme Military Tribunal, it was already up. The 13 men were in jail. I was 2 days old in the government. So I have no input at the time.
As a chief of staff, who's supposed to be on top of all activities of AFL personnel, can you tell us whether this tribunal ever rendered judgment against the 13 persons?
Yes, the trial, the conviction, the sentencing originated from the Supreme Military Tribunal. Defense Ministry was not connected. There was no chain of command between we and the military tribunal, except that late General Frank Sankpeni, he was the only law school graduate in the army. He was immediately transferred, assisted by late James Coleman. So the people that heading the Supreme Military Tribunal, they were ex-military person. That's the only relations.
Do you know why they were not sent to civilian court, since the 13 persons were civilians? Instead, they were sent to the military court for trial.
The Constitution was suspended. There was no Supreme Court, neither House of Legislature, no. The lawmakers were the 16 member of TRC. The judiciary was headed by General Frank Sankpeni and assisted by James Coleman. There was no president, only head of state, the executive branch. Constitution was suspended at the time.
Yes, we know the Constitution was suspended, but it may interest you to know that myself was arrested and put in jail along with Emmanuel Balaze, and I was released 3 days and reinstated. But Emmanuel Balaze remained in jail in that same April when he was appointed as Chief Justice of the People's Supreme Court. Do you remember that?
I remember. Why we still have the military tribunal?
Yeah, the military tribunal was set up to try military people.
No.
And the Supreme civilian tribunal was put there to try the civilians. So my question, whether you know the rationale behind, because there are controversies as to how they were sent before the tribunal. But you as a chief of staff, do you know why?
I can't remember. I was 2 days old in the government. In fact, before we were brought down, Monrovia, the Supreme Military Tribunal was already set up. The 13 people were in jail already. I was thinking whether I should say I declined the position. I was afraid, terribly afraid at the time. Let me tell you the truth.
As Chief of Staff, I know you are occurring with the defense law of Liberia. Can you tell us what is the statutory tenure of a military personnel?
5 years is the compulsory service.
But it is the prerogative of an officer
After 5 years,
after the 5 years
you can
to ask.
You want to become a career soldier,
Yeah.
you can continue on.
And for what? For how long?
For how long? After
The first
30
5
years. You have.
After the
In
first
fact,
5
5 years is the compulsory service. You serve 15 years, you're entitled to pension. 30 years, you retire with your full salary, according to 1956 defense law.
No, I want you to make something clear, because this is a delicate issue today, especially in the area of the restructuring of the army. The statute provides that every citizen should serve the army for 5 consecutive years.
Right.
Honorably served
Yes.
for 5 consecutive years. And every child, every Liberian at the age of 16 register as militia for 5 years.
Yes.
Now, after serving the compulsory period, it is the prerogative of the individual to ask for additional time.
Re-enlistment.
Okay. And if your punctuality, your dedication, your commitment to the military keeps you up to the age of 30, then you can be retired.
Yes.
But it is not mandatory that you serve more than 5 years.
No.
And that I want you to make.
No. Now that's the problem we're having with the demobilized soldiers, say they want benefit and so forth. Let me clarify that too.
Yeah, but this is why I'm asking you whether this is
5 years
make known to the people, to those soldiers who are claiming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years is the compulsory service. If you are honorably discharged, automatically you are a veteran. If dishonorably discharged, you forfeit your being a veteran. You forfeit that. 15 years you entitled to pension, 50% of your pension in keeping with 1956 defense law. 20 years above, 75, 30, full salary. Now, the people that were brought into the army in 1990, that Doe brought in, those that Charles Taylor brought in. From 1990 to 2004, when we restructured the army, they fall short of 1 year. So they were now entitled to pension. So we gave them flat rate, since they were ex-combatants were receiving $3 after disarmament. So these people who wore uniform, let's dignify their own. We gave them flat rate of $540. Then the president was far-sighted. He said, well, General Dubar, I make you chairman. You'll write a statute that will cater to the veterans. We put that bill together. It just passed. So these people that are making noise every day in the street, they want benefit. There's no other benefit. Those of us are above 15 years, we're receiving our pension. So let me clarify that so you all know.
Thank you. It is said that people who undertook a tax that is DD, do or die, are united in good faith, and their solidarity is strong. We all know that to undertake a military coup is either to do or die. The 17 men came together, trusting one another, respecting one another, loving one another, and decided to take a greatest task of a coup. So they were seen as brothers in government. Can you tell us, as a senior officer, what derailed their relationship, degenerated it to the extent that they start killing one another? Do you know why?
Well, this is my own opinion. I don't want somebody to say that's what my own opinion.
Yeah, I'm asking for your own opinion as a senior person.
I think right after the coup, the 17 men were together. and it was the politicians that infiltrated them, went between them. The idea, after we told the American government that after 5 years we will turn the government over to the civilian people, they fulfilled their promise by building barracks throughout the length and breadth of Liberia. The idea of the TRC at the time was to those intellectuals, the cabinet ministers, those that will work with us with sincerity and honesty, at the end of the 5 years to say, look, you go wrong, we'll support you, so that we don't want different person to come and prosecute us. That was the intent of the 17 men. I think it was leaked out to the cabinet ministers, and they beginning to say, oh, Queen Wangba, you are the level-headed person. Oh, Wesson, you are the level-headed person. Oh, Doe, you are the level-headed person. And that was the friction. I went to the state.
Assuming that to be correct, but retrospecting the past.
That's my own opinion.
Yeah, I know. Assuming that what you are saying as your personal. The TRC got into disarray as far back as 1981.
Yes.
At that time, the question of fulfilling the promise of turning the country over to civilian and the military going back to the barrack had not reached.
As I'm telling you right there, when PRC people announced that any of you that work with us with sincerity and honesty will select one of you to run, so that we don't want to bring strange person to come that will prosecute us. Let me confess here, the PRC people, they are difficult to work with. Every man, the 17 men, they think they were president and they are right. So by 1983, most of the original cabinet ministers are left. So that's why I make Doe to change from uniform to civilian clothes.
He also said that many of those who participated in the coup were people that you took part in recruiting them.
Yes.
And therefore they had respect for you as their senior person.
Yes.
And as one who laid the foundation for them.
Yes.
To become a soldier and then PRC member.
No, I was not PRC member.
No, I know. I say, had it not been your recruitment, they won't find themselves over there.
No.
Okay. What role did you play in reconciling the differences among them? One who enjoyed their respect. What impetus did you use based on your respectability to reconcile the differences to avoid the escalation of their disgruntlement?
Well, there was a problem between President late Samuel Kayando and late General Thomas Wangba. Wangba was then the commanding general. He chose to live in the enlisted man quarter in BTC. Doe was also wearing Master Sergeant stripe. And then we were commissioned 3-star general, 2-star general. So we went to a meeting. We said, look, Master Sergeant Doe, you are now head of state and commander-in-chief. You can't be wearing sergeant stripe and 3-star general salute you. If you are head of state, you're supposed to wear 5-star. General Kuwangba, as commanding general, you can't live in listed ordinary soldiers' quarter. Government should lease a house for you. And Kuwangba said he wanted to be with the soldiers. Those say the master sign was the symbol of the revolution. So we dwell on him, he changed, removed the sergeant stripe. Kuwangba refused to move from BDC. And so those say, well, I promote you to Secretary General of the TRC. And that was a hell of a confusion. Late Minister Sako, Blaswotowe, Harry Nguyen, Moses Duopu, all of us want to make peace between them. Where their trouble started from.
Now, as captain before the coup and as lieutenant general from 1980 to 1990, what difference could you give if you are asked to rate disciplinary orderliness of military? Soldiers are considered as first gentlemen and gentlewomen. What would you say when you are asked to rate the moral discipline and orderly credibility of the armed forces of Liberia?
The president...
Pre-coup era and post-coup era. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Okay. Before the coup, you was captain, so you know at certain level the disciplininess, the orderliness of the armed forces of Liberia.
Yes.
Like you say, obey, obey, and obey.
Yes.
Under the general command.
Yes.
The general order. Now, up to 1990, I'm asking you now, if you were to ask the two groups, which of the two groups were the best in terms of discipline and orderliness?
I told you earlier, before 1980, the discipline level in the army was high. It erupted when the 17 men took power. Everybody think they can, one master sergeant was the head of state, any other person can be, which was not true. But right now, the new armed forces are receiving better training than in the past. During the PRC time, most of us, there was no evaluation there was no merit for promotion. You are placed on a duress. The PRC member said, look, this is my two security, make them so. Make them so. You dare not to say no. Yes, sir. But right now, you will be evaluated in accordance with your performance, academic performance, training performance, everything. And during our administration, soldiers used to perform interior guard duty. This minister will come, chief of staff, I want 2 soldiers to be to my house. You dare not to say no. But this time there's no interior guard duty. I want 4 soldiers to be at the Ministry of Finance. All the ministry here, we used to provide guard, soldier. Now they are not performing guard duty, interior guard duty, strictly military. They are in barrack. If you see soldiers in Monrovia now, if you coming for a weekend, you better leave your uniform there. So things are better than before now. But during the PRC era, it was difficult.
You said at the beginning you were hesitant to accept the job.
Yes.
But for fear of your life and that of your family,
yes,
you were constrained to accept the job.
Yes.
You serve.
But later on, I enjoyed the position.
Now you served this institution, that government, from 1980 to 1990.
Yes.
So, are you telling us that beside enjoying, you were satisfied with the administration and with the running of the military, the ministry, and the chief of staffship? Besides enjoying, you can enjoy something you don't like.
Well, yes.
But you were satisfied.
Whether I'm satisfied or not, I have no option.
No, you have an option because at that time now you were free to resign. At the time they call you, they themselves were not sure of themselves.
If I resign that time,
yeah,
without a justifiable cause,
yeah,
I'll be haunted. As chief, in my capacity as chief of staff, to abruptly say I resign. That's the truth.
Okay. What can you say has been the success of your administration from 1980 to 1990?
I was non-power drunk from the time I was appointed chief of staff. I was myself. I was non-power drunk. There's no blood in my hand. I guess that's what made me to survive. I always help people to help people out of trouble. For example, Charlie B. Sherman was in the post docket, and one channel with went there and wrote a letter in his name asking for money. Wrote somebody, and bright, gave me money so that I will pay some mercenaries to help fight PRC government, and that channel with man signed. When the PRC people saw that letter, oh, they were mad. General Dubar. I said, what happened? They brought a letter. I said, well, y'all gave me 2 hours. Let me go to the post docket and investigate. So I went to the post docket. I carried one writing pad. I went to the post docket. I said, all the political prisoners here, you're right, the head of state, asking for clemency. I kept that letter in my folder. I said, it's your chance now to do so. Well, everybody started writing. They wrote, and I came to the post docket office. I compared writing. I was channel with. I called channel with. I said, look at these 2 writing. That's your writing or somebody else? I said, you'll come. All the people, Franklin Smith, all those people, they came. My friend David Fahad, all those people, they were in the post docket. He said, I channel with. So I went back to the council. I went to the president. I said, I found the writer of this letter. It's not Charlie B. Sherman. I channel with. This is sent him to Bella Yara. Case closed. Few days they free Charlie B. Sherman. And he called me into his residence in Congo Town. He said, General Dubar, what do you want from me? I said, I want piece of land. I said, I've been renting from people from the time I've been in Montreal since 1956. If you will give me land, I will be happy. He said, that's all? I said, that's all. He said, okay. Genevieve, he said, go with General Dubar, showing all my land. Where he point his hand, give it to him. So Genevieve carried me all around Painesville, this and that. Then finally we came to Fiamma, right after Lee Sherman School. I said, I like this place. He said, why you like this place? I said, in the future I might not have car, so this place is okay for me. They made a deed, everything signed. He said, bring your wife, I'll carry my wife. And he called his son, late Rudolph Sherman. He said, Rudolph Sherman, this is your brother. I was supposed to born him, but the distance from Cape Mount to Grand Jetta too far. So this is your brother. Genevieve, all of you. Yvette, this is your brother. He took 5,000. He said, I gave you the land, but I gave you 5,000 so you will start your house. That's the person I am. Help people. When Queen sent those 15 men to come and assess the situation here, they were caught by the security people, including Kalunko Luo and those people. They were to be executed. I intervened when you heard Kalunko Luo cry on the market woman, Nyana boy. I intervened in that case. When this rebel was coming, led Minister Sacco and some legislators from Nimba County, I said, Grand Judea and Nimba, we are related. Yeah, let's go to Ganta and call our people. Go on the radio, the local radio, and talk our dialects to our children to stop this war. I think if the commissioner on the outside, probably he was there. If Hillary Bobley is in the country, you can attest to that. That's the person I am. I'm the only child of my mother. I love people. That's the only way I'm surviving. Thank you.
Those were your personal gratitude. But I'm talking about the army as an institution.
I say I was non-power drunk. That's what got me surviving.
Yeah, yes.
Some people, you make them chief of staff, they think they're on top of the world.
I'm talking about the promotion of the morale of the army.
Now?
No, at the time, when you were chief of staff.
I was chief of staff in a difficult time, I told you earlier. It was not easy.
Yeah,
you sometimes say yes, sir, to keep your job, and if you say no, that's it.
I do remember that was the time of war.
I apply persuasive leadership.
Yeah.
That's the way. They say to agree agree with a fool, you must say what?
Is to agree with him.
Okay. Councilman will call me, even though I know my position as chief of staff, I say, yes, sir. This person call me, yes, sir. This person call me, yes, sir. So that's it.
Okay, we understand the difficult circumstances you were under during the PRC period. But what about the civilian administration of Samuel Kanyando, where Constitution has been rewritten, reviewed, adopted by referendum, election held, and the Constitution put in force. What can you point, now only you, but what areas can you, as a Chief of Staff, point your finger of success at your military administration and that of the Commander-in-Chief, Samuel Kanyando, one who is responsible and have taken oath to protect and defend the Constitution and the law of the land?
It was during my administration, the Suez Art, hot and cold water buildings, bar was built throughout Liberia. It was during our time we had multi-party system, and so many things. Development, infrastructural development went on. And during the civilian part of those government, when I started riding Swiss and drinking champagne, I was enjoying myself.
Okay. Did you resign before your departure? If so, to whom? And if not, how do you consider such departure under military terminology?
I escaped. Maybe I defected, I don't know, but I escaped. I didn't write no letter of resignation. If I should do that, I would have been arrested, and so I just escaped.
Yeah, the
And
action,
not defected. When I say defection, it means I jumped to join another army.
No, the action is escape. But in the military term, desertion of post.
Yes, desertion.
So can we send you before the military tribunal for that?
Thank God there's no military tribunal.
But do you consider yourself as a legitimate soldier?
Right now?
Or a retired soldier?
I am a retired soldier. Retired. I was certificated at Antoinette Tolman Stadium. I was decorated by the president because if the PRC in general would have followed my advice, there would be no war today.
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for taking your time to answer all our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Testing. Thank you very much, Sir Witness. I had said earlier, until further notice, I would like to just add a couple of more questions.
Sure.
First of all, I was concerned about the situation with Liberia's connection to the nation of Israel. Could
Yes.
you give me some clearance on that? How were they connected to us at that time, and did they supply us any arms and weapons? Did they give us any training? What other support did they give us at that time?
Yes. 1983, it was late Senator John Ramsey, late Great D. Allison, and myself went on that secret mission to re-establish relations with Israel. Though didn't send Famuleh, who was then the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he said Famuleh would have objected to it. At the time, all the African countries broke diplomatic relationship with Israel because of the war between Egypt and Israel. But then when we look, Israel re-established relations with Egypt. And then in the West Africa, it was Ivory Coast. So those said, well, that was Egypt business. All the African country broke relations with Israel. Now they are they established relations, and so what we should do. So we say, yeah, it makes sense. Let's go to Israel. So Allison, Ramsey, and myself went, and they said, okay. They came, and we went for the second time. They agreed to train SATU because the Middle East people know how to fight this house-to-house fight. Hearing rumors about counter-coup, this, that, so we thought it was to train people in that particular area. We want to know jungle fighting, but not house-to-house. So the compensation for renewing relationship, they trained our SATU unit, they gave us I think a push helicopter. Yonang Construction Company came in, and they started building our defense ministry in Congo Town. We didn't have money at the time, so we gave them a piece of forest in Sino County. It was a bargaining situation. They cut the logs and then they built a house. So yes, but Fambola, the foreign minister at the time, they negotiated for that. We went on our own.
Okay, you say that this happened only after 83. So prior to 83, there was no connection at all with the Liberian, with the government, with Israel?
No connection because there was no diplomatic mission here.
Okay. How about America? Was America linked to the government during that time from 1980 onward, or was there a time where they restored relationship with us, or did they just naturally accept the coup itself, etc.?
If they connected with the coup, I have no idea. I was waiting in Granjide. But after the coup, I told you there was a delegation came from State Department headed by one Moose. I don't know his first name, but I still can remember that Moose name. And they asked the PRC people what necessitated a coup, and they say, we live in zinc shacks, we carry on shoveling, and they say, when we build the houses you wanted, will you go back to Barry? We say, yes. How many years? We say 5 years. And they live up to their commitment. We didn't live up to our commitment.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, from a security point of view, how could a small group of low-level military staff stage a coup against the president of Liberia without outside support? And can it happen again?
I have no idea. I'm not a coup maker, so I don't know any strategy.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm looking at your position as a military leader who is supposed to prevent such an event from happening. So I'm just trying to understand what was wrong with the army at that time that a group of 4 or 5, 16 men who have no foundation, no facility, can just get up and overthrow the whole country. In essence, they overthrew the whole army. So what is it that our army lacked to allow such a thing to happen?
It's because we never experienced it before.
So that means all of them...
That's the lacking.
Okay.
It never happened before, and nobody expected it to happen, especially so from low-ranking enlisted men.
I see. So all of the military training that our armies go under, they never take the scenario of a possible coup into consideration?
We never experienced it before, and so things that you experience, you inject it in your training program. But now, the new army, the code of conduct is being preached to them every day. It's being preached to them every day that you have to, your loyalty is to the Constitution, the President, and the people of Liberia. You subject to the civilian authority. That is being preached to them every day.
Well, thank you very much on that point.
Yeah.
Even though I think that would still not be the adequate solution. The next thing, considering the promise made by the military to return to the barracks in 1985, why, in your opinion, did Doe change his mind and enter politics, considering the support that the military got at that time and the way they were beefed up?
The people that they were depending on to run after the 5 years, when they look back, they were all gone. And the new one that came in, we didn't start with them from the beginning, so there was no trust. And so, in order for them not to be prosecuted by somebody who didn't know, so he thought to hold on.
Thank you. I'm trying to understand the position and power of a COS, Chief of Staff.
Yes.
Is he like the head of the whole military, being the body? Is he the one that gives direction and purpose to the whole body of the military organization?
He's the number one soldier. He's the chief administrator, planner.
Okay. So, if we were to then say, try to look for responsibility, who should bear the greater burden of responsibility for the military actions that took place between 1980 and 1990 against the innocent people of this country? Who would you recommend that should be bearing that responsibility?
Well, in the army, what the command does or fail to do is the responsibility of the commander.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. You told me.
Thank you. I can't hear you.
Testing. Thank you very much for, again, for your responses. There are two things that have come to my mind since I posed a few questions to you. One, there was a time when a large consignment of arms was delivered to the Liberian government from Romania by President Ceausescu. In fact, he did invite President Doe and awarded him an honorary doctorate degree. What were the terms of the agreement that led to that supply of arms? And what was the range of arms? Additionally, it was learned that prior to the time when access into Monrovia became difficult, the president had ordered a consignment of arms that had shot Leonard in Guinea. What kinds of arms were they? And how do you think those arms would have made a difference if they had been received?
They were landed in Guinea, so I didn't have the clear picture of them.
But can you say what kind of arms they were?
They were arms, but we're not able to see.
Was it light arms, heavy arms?
Well, I can't remember right now.
Now, the arms that were supplied by Romania, do you think, because I remember after these arms were received, the president led a parade in town parading all the arms, and he was at the head of that parade. You think that was intended to demonstrate might, that I'm here, might and might alone, and or it was for the purpose of defending the territorial integrity?
No, that's not true. Every armed forces day, all over the world, you display your armament to show that you're strong, you're capable, you can protect the country. So it was during one of the armed forces day that those things were demonstrated. We bring arms from Camp Nama, our artillery pieces. We got 72nd right here in Ghanarsville, the Mowag. All your armament you display on your armed forces day so that the country will know that you really ready in case of war, you are prepared. That was it, not to say I brought arms from Romania, so I want to show you all Liberian people. No, it was Armed Forces Day celebration.
But how come those arms didn't make a difference? It was not able to stop the rebels from advancing onto Monrovia.
The arm itself cannot fire except you are trained to it. I told you earlier, you can't use big arm in a guerrilla type war. The man is not uniform. You go to the village, you ain't talk, you say, oh, you see any rebel here? No.
Yeah.
In the night they took out their weapons. So that war is difficult to fight, I told you earlier.
Now you mentioned...
You can't carry artillery pieces. No.
Now you mentioned somewhere in your presentation about General Podia.
Yes.
And that he was killed at the border.
Yes.
You also earlier said that there were many instances where information was supplied to you on the basis of what they thought you needed to know.
Yes.
Against that background, I recall I was in Banga.
Yes.
And I saw General Podia at the police station when he was brought in from the border.
Yes.
To Banga. But then subsequently it was announced that he was killed in a shootout at the border. So how could that have been possible when the government was announcing that General Podia was killed in a shootout at the border, and yet I saw him in Banga handcuffs?
Well, I told you I wasn't there, so you can be the best witness to testify to that.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Retired Lieutenant General and presently former advisor to the Minister of Defense. There's a myth, and we're writing history.
Yes.
And I think you could clarify, because I need more names.
Yes.
There was this, in fact, it's this myth that I need sound, please. This myth that only uneducated indigenous people were members of the army of Liberia. And it seemed to be like that was up to 1980. But two things you brought up when you started.
Until 1961.
Yes, but when they're talking it, you didn't say it. I'm just saying that by you bringing this up, but it's written in books, so that now you said it, but it's written in books that way. But you've cleared that you were the first literate set of people recruited in 1961, including Henry Dubar, you, Raymond Olin, who's from Broadville, Montserrat County.
Right.
Raphael Watson from Finna in Montserrat County.
No.
And I want to, 1 minute, let me just finish it. That was 1961. So to show that in 61, there were not just indigenous people, because you came from Grand Gita, and Raymond Olin from Broadway, Those are places they were considered to be American-Liberian route. Were you one of those who went to Belgium, Congo? Because I know Raphael Watson went to Belgium, Congo, and Raymond Alden for this Belgium, Congo, where Liberia sent soldiers during the Belgium-Congo War as contributing to the African peacekeepers there. Can you elaborate?
No, I didn't go to the Congo.
But Raphael and Raymond went.
Raphael, Raymond, Paul Perry, Daniel Bide, all of these people, Allison, all of them went to the Congo.
Okay.
But I didn't go.
All right, was Paul Perry an educated person too?
Yes, he's from Maryland County.
Maryland. Now, another thing, you recall as Chief of Staff? Henry Hoff, yes.
He's from Cape Mount.
From Cape Mount. Now, so these were Liberians who contributed soldiers to the Belgian-Congo War.
Yes.
Now, there was also some program with BWI where there were soldiers, people who took out scholarship and went on BWI and were trained. I think Bennett Pearson, you remember the late Absalom Newberry?
Yes.
So all these people were educated people who had finished high school.
Right.
In fact, I think Christy Doe was there up to 19. Oh no.
No, now Christy Doe.
Yes, the tall fellow who were in finance section. But I would love for you to please name some other, because for the record, educated soldiers who were in the army, and most of them even had lower ranks too.
Okay. 1961, it was late Grady Allison, late Roosevelt Watson, Paul Perry, Daniel Bedell, Arthur Bedell. All of these people, they were ASTP students on BWI mission. Yeah. A lot of them, Absalom Newberry, his brother too.
James Newberry.
Yes, all of them, all of us came in. William Diggs, all of us, the pilot, Prince Page, all of us. 1961, we came in the army.
Thank you for contributing to history and writing it the right way.
Yeah.
Eradicating the myth.
Thank you, Mr. Witness.
Yes, sir.
During your testimony, you elaborated on the current recruitment criteria that is set for the restructured army.
Right.
Could you also elaborate on the criteria set at the time in 1969 and maybe compare and contrast the two?
1969, from 9th grade downward, you are eligible to be part of the army. From the time I was enlisted to, it was 9th grade level.
Was there age limit?
16 to 18 to 35, but you can remain if you want to.
Was there any ethnic, regional consideration in recruitment exercises at the time?
No, that's why I told you, President Todman, through the Minister of Defense, I think it was E. Jonathan Goodrich, he instructed Minister E. Jonathan Goodrich to deputize somebody to go to the then 9 counties to recruit soldiers as a geographical balance. Because at the time, the Loma were in the majority in the army. So this time around, they said, no, you should go to all the counties. Of course, came out and gave off 4 soldiers.
April 14, 1979.
Yes.
Were you in Monrovia or Rangida?
Sino County.
Sino County.
Camp Graceville, Sino County.
You were staying in Sino County.
Yes. I was arrested, brought down, and put in the post docket because of my brother-in-law, due missing.
You were missing.
Somebody saw her talking, they said, oh, that captain there, and due missing, something will happen in Sino, and security people called. One pilot named Baker, I remember, came for him, and after Bidel in the state now came for me. The 2 plane was in the air. I was throwing the post docket, and after they exonerated him, they got no clue on me, so they said, well, you reassigned to Monrovia.
As Army Chief of Staff,
Yes.
would I be right to conclude that at that time in that position, you are the highest ranking officer or authority?
1979, I was now Chief of Staff.
No, not 79. I've come down to 1980.
Okay.
As Chief of Staff,
Yes.
would I be right to conclude that the Chief of Staff is the 3rd in rank as far as the military is concerned?
3rd in rank, you mean the chain of command?
The chain of command, yes, sir.
Between Ministry of Defense and the Executive
The
Marshal?
CRC, yes, sir.
Yes.
You are the 3rd.
Yes.
Do you have any, or was there any relationship between you and former President Doe?
No, except that we came from the same county. Even though we all crown, but we don't speak the same crown. I'm chairman from Chen District, Bobo.
We have heard so many versions on how the coup took place. You being Chief of Staff for roughly 10 years.
Yes.
What is your understanding, your information on how the coup took place and what transpired?
No, nobody disclosed that to me. Except what they told me, Doe said to me personally, he said right after the coup, he wanted to be Chief of Staff. And Wesson said, no. Who you want to be the president? He said, Bacchus Matthew. I want Bacchus Matthew to be the president. And Wesson said, no. If you don't want to be the president, then I will be the president. But you are the highest ranking man among us. You will be the head of state. And I will be the vice head of state. And we went by, they used to call him a strong man. They said, you will be the commanding general. That's why he told me personally. And because of that, Bacchus was staying at the mansion in the guest house next to him. It was his right-hand man.
He was whose right-hand man?
Doe's right-hand man.
Doe's right-hand man.
Yes.
I'd like to go to 1985.
Yes.
Does the name Thomas McQueen, Anthony McQueen,
Kalunko Luo, just I mentioned, they came on our assessment team and they were caught. And they were begging Doe on the radio, Nyana boy, Grona boy, this and that, please forgive me, or you will cry on the radio. I personally intervened. I mentioned that.
During 85, was the late president ever captured? Did the invading forces ever took over the executive mansion?
No, that's why so many people died. Let me just, they had this thing on the cassette. You say if you arrest anybody, carry them to the mansion. And they arrested the soldiers from Nima. They arrested late John Bear and Baibala. So when they got to the place where the new soldiers statue was, they say, we brought Baibala and John Bear. They said, oh, yeah, you're coming. And they were grabbed right there. Doe never left the mansion. Doe was at the mansion. They would never move, and it was propaganda or strategy they were using.
1983 Nima raid.
Yes.
What is your information on what happened? Why?
Well, as I told you, Kuwengba was asked to leave BTC because of his rank. He can't live in a enlisted man quarter. He was, I guess he wanted to get closer to the soldiers, and we dwell on him. No, he can't be general and live in a enlisted man quarter. Though promoted him Secretary General so that he would move from BDC, he didn't like it, and he just left. I don't know what motivated them to have staged that Niba raid until I came from the state 2004, and I read Prince Johnson's book. They said they staged that Niba raid to take money from the bank, Lamco Bank. But if you come here, you ask him, he'll tell you the detail.
During the 10 years you were Chief of Staff, the name Charles Julu
Yes,
was very prominent
yes.
during that period. And it has been said he wasn't a military officer. What role did Charles Julu play in the military?
Charles Julu was a military person. Charles Julu was enlisted 1960, if I'm not mistaken. I met him in the army. In the 70s, I think he was retired, and then went to Lamco. He was the PPP. He was the commander there for the Lamco security. During the Nima, during the Nima raid, they said they went to his house and killed his son. And what happened, because I was not there, but he was commander at the time when the Nima raid happened, and he said one of his children was hurt and so forth. Thereafter, he was transferred from there. Though transfer him, assign him, promoted him general, one-star general, and make him commanding officer at the Executive Mansion Guard Battalion. Now, the commanding general at the Executive Mansion Guard Battalion, responsible to protect the president and his immediate family. That was the duty. You go to the president direct without passing through Defense Ministry, Minister of Defense, me, no, strictly amenable to the president. That position was there. Charles really was it started way back, Robert Gibson, Charles really, and then before TRC.
After 1985, you refer to loyal and disloyal soldiers.
Yes.
In the army, how is a disloyal soldier described, and how are they normally treated?
Disloyal soldiers, you don't support who be president. Somebody who just talk on the radio, say I come to overthrow, and then you just jump on and go on his side. Loyal soldiers always support government in power. That's the difference.
So how are they normally treated, these loyal soldiers? Are they arrested? Are there pinnacles of the military that...
It's a treasonable charge. You took an oath to protect the Constitution, the President, and the people of Liberia, and you deviated, go to somebody who want to be president. It's treasonable charge. We send you to court-martial bowl. If you are found guilty, the penalty is execution.
Did that happen in the case of these 1985, these loyal soldiers?
Of course, I told you earlier, I was arrested 9 o'clock and came out 3 o'clock. What happened in the interim, I can't tell you.
Chief of Staff,
Yes.
there was an attempt to overthrow the government
What government?
in 1985.
Yes.
And the army was split between loyal and disloyal soldiers.
Yes.
You were detained during that period for a few hours.
Army was divided.
The army was divided. And the coup attempt was reversed.
Yes.
You regained your status as Chief of Staff.
Right.
And everything that happened in the interim when you were in prison for 4 or 5 hours and thereafter you had no idea.
No, I answered thereafter. I said in the interim, it means the period I was inside. What happened outside, I didn't know. But when I gained my power, I knew everything that went on.
So during the period, the interim, you want us to understand that those loyal soldiers were arrested and tried for treason and subsequently executed.
In that short space of time, there was exchange of fire between the loyal soldiers that supporting Doe, and the entire cabinet, the vice president, every one of us that supporting us. There was no court. You could not have set up a court-martial board. It was war, exchanging fire. So people that died in the interim, there was no court-martial board. There was not. It was war. Now you don't feed people with bread and butter during war. You feed them with bullet and bayonet.
Is there any official account, either by the military or any of the civilian authorities, of how many persons died in a barracks or during the entire episode of 1985?
I have no idea, except the journalists, people who writing papers and things will tell you. I have no idea.
As Chief of Staff at the time, how many men did you lose in that exercise? How many men as Chief of Staff did you lose in that exercise?
You say, I don't understand you.
How many soldiers lost their lives during the 1985 episode?
I have no statistic now. There's no record in defense that you will refer to. 10 years is a long time.
It was a major event that had the military divided.
People from Nimba, when they heard Queen went by, they said, oh, this is our para president. And the people from Grand Judah, they said, well, Doe is the legitimate head of state. And that's how the split came about. Not people from Grand Judah alone, but people like Morris is the commanding general, his own Queen Wang Basa, so many other people.
After that incident, there was a high level of ethnic profiling in the military. Soldiers were armed who were of the Kran tribe. There were communications now in the military being conducted in Kran leading up to the period of the war. And there were soldiers of other tribes who were denied privileges, who were not respected and all of that, to the point the army was normally described as a Kran army or Doe soldiers.
I have no idea.
Can you tell us now why was the army not fighting in 1990? You went to the president, you told him, Mr. President, the army is not fighting. The rebels are rapidly advancing. You need to resign. Is there any reason why the army wasn't fighting?
I just don't know. Because they're getting their full support from us. And if the rebel can leave Butu and come all the way to Bassa and Kirisburg, I think they were only interested in looting people's property. And at that point, I chew up my battalion commander, commanding general, and probably, I don't know. So that's why it make me to say, look, please let us resign. My soldiers are now fighting to my expectation. It's my right to brief the president, to tell him the truth, the honest truth, to be sincere and honest with him. And that's why I did. And I would have been killed in the process. But thank God, I have to leave.
How true is it that you lost your command and authority at that time? The president wasn't listening to you, the commanding general at the time wasn't listening to you, and instructions to the men on the front had a different channel that didn't involve you. And so because of that, you felt there was no place for you and you had to leave.
No, I just explained to you the reason I left. They were now fighting to my expectation, not me alone, to the entire Liberian people. I'll go on the radio, Mr. Chief of Staff, the rebels are coming. I'll say, oh, I would lie just to say, they will contain the army. And the people were advancing. The soldiers were receiving their allowance, supplies, and I kept lying to the Liberian people, oh, we'll contain the people, they will contain the people. And so at that point now, I tired lying to the Liberian people, so I just went to him to tell him.
The Flansamington plot.
Yes.
How real was it? What were the circumstances around the Flansamington plot?
Okay.
And can you kindly tell us how
Sure.
many other real coup plots there were between 1980 and 1990?
I'll just tell you about Flansamington. Flansamington, one morning between 4, 5, about that time, Doe called me, he said, somebody fire me. He called me on the radio. He said, please come to the mansion. Somebody fired. They almost bust my hair, my baseball cap. The bullet went through it. So please come at once. I jumped in my car with 2 bodyguards. We got to the mansion yard. And I asked for the commander, General Seyon, Emmanuel Seyon was then the commander. I said, call General Emmanuel Seyon, he was not there, and I called the executive officer, I said, you comb the area. 5 minutes they brought Flansamington. I said, you smell the nozzle of his gun. The smoke was just coming out. And Flansamington, why you did this? He said, sorry, Dick Smith is one of the embassy employees, Honor Bishop, American Ambassador Bishop. I think he was the CIA man, I don't know. He used to live at Miata Beslow House in Painesville. So he said, Dick Smith put me on payroll. He gave me Oldsmobile car. He said I should assassinate Doe. So we went. We arrested Dick Smith. We took 2 rifles, 1 Uzi from his house near that police station, that Beslow woman place. And we called the American ambassador. He was guilty, trembling. So quietly we sent him to America because of the relations. We set up a court-martial to speedily investigate Flansamington. They investigated him and he found guilty. He was executed. the commanding General Emmanuel Seyon, who is charged with the responsibility to protect the president at that time. And that time of the morning, he was not there. 2 hours later, before he came, we sent him to Bela Yala, and he was replaced by General Edward Smith. If Seyon listening to radio, you will hear my voice, and that's how it happened.
Were there other collaborators? Were there other collaborators of Lance Hamilton that were reviewed during the investigation?
He was alone. He was alone.
You mentioned that up to the time you left the army, the strength was 6,000.
Yes.
Did that include both regular and war recruits, or was that the regular army?
When I left the army, it was Coast Guard and Air Reconnaissance Unit, both, and the army, the three strength, 6,000, including Coast Guard, Air Reconnaissance Unit. But when I came back, it swelled to 15,000.
Colonel Grady Allison was your boss for a while.
Yes.
He is dead. What can you say of him? What kind of person he was?
What kind of person he was?
Yes, sir.
I had respect for him a lot. Sincere and honest man. Very dutiful man. I regret his death. It was due to politicians that pushed Doe to do that.
Thank you, retired General Dubar.
Yes.
We want to thank You can do further investigation. Next time you just do the official report.
Retired General,
Yes.
when the chairman asked you about this Flansameton plot,
Yes.
and you said he was arrested and they had a court-martial board, they found him guilty and he was killed. Do you recall, wasn't it a Flansameton time that they put him on TV and he had the list of names of political leaders that he was calling who was part of this coup, and as a result, some of them were arrested, most of the political leaders that time, including Kesseley and some of these progressive? Wasn't that a Flansameton time that they had on TV and we saw this person with names, calling names, or who were his collaborators?
I can't remember. It was a one-man show. I remember vividly that he said Dick Smith was arrested. We went to the home of Miata Beslow in Painesville. We collected 2 rifles and 1 Uzi weapon that he gave him to protect himself. And then he bought 1 Oldsmobile car. So it was time for him to deliver. He'd been on the man's payroll for long. So he got to deliver, and that's why he did it. But I can't remember it being a long time, whether he called some names and they were put in jail. I can't remember.
I'm sure someone who will come who were doing that time, because there was a time that someone was said to have a coup plot, and they had them over TV and they were calling the names of the Flansameton, right? Yes.
No,
okay.
I think
Chulu? Okay, but I'm sure someone, now that I've put it out, someone who will come out here will verify that.
Kalunko Luo.
Kanuko Nuo?
Kalunko Luo were begging the Liberian people for Doe to forgive him. That's why I remember.
All right, someone who will come who will know much better and clarify since we put it up. Secondly, when he asked about Grady Allison, who was the Minister of Defense, there's a myth also and want clarity on this. Grady Allison, first was arrested. He and his wife a second time because she was tried for the death of Melvin Pine, a police officer. Now, I heard you say that also was for treason. So was he put to this court-martial because she went to, her case was tried at the Temple of Justice. So was it really for treason or the death of Melvin Pine? And in the testimony, treason, they say it was done for treason. I mean, he did it for treason. So what? Because she was also arrested and tried in a criminal court. So could you clarify that?
I told you already that as an individual, not as chief of staff, I didn't believe in that.
Yeah. But what was it? It was for the death of Melvin Pine, or was it treason and Melvin Pine name came up that was the ritualistic thing he was doing? Can you recall? Or you?
I heard about the killing of Melvin Pine, a crime man in Carwell.
His head, yeah.
The treason thing, he wanted to overthrow, all that to me was done because he was a strong supporter of Doe. That's the pillar behind Doe.
All right.
And so the politician maybe, or people that want to be president, they want to get rid of Doe, good supporter, so that's how they get rid of him. This is my opinion, and still my opinion from that time up to now is still my opinion.
All right. Also, there was this rumor, and not only rumor, but from sources close to Gray Allison, who said that later on, President Doe got to find out about this conspiracy and that it was not really truth. He realized it was not true. They were trying to get Gray Allison from behind him to overthrow him. So what they did, that President Doe sent Gray D. Allison, Minister of Defense, to Belayala, not so much for punishment, but as a way to ensure his safety, that somebody might not come to stockade in the night and grab him up and kill him like they summarily killed some of the other people who now people have confessed that they were summarily killed. So in Belayala, he had the facilities where they could send his things to him and things like that. Are you aware? Because this is truth-telling, and we want the facts about it. So being close to him and your boss, man, were you aware of that fact, and that in Belayara he was not being treated poorly? You were not?
No. Sorry, I'm not.
Thank you very much.
Any last word? The testimony has just ended, sir. Any last word for the TRC or the people of Liberia?
Yes.
Please do.
TRC met for us to iron out our differences, for us to be one people, one Liberia.
Yeah.
It is sad that from 1980 up to now, so many Liberians lost their lives. We're sorry for that. But something I want to say here today. If we want to be one Liberian or Liberia people, everybody has the right to do what you want to do. I'm talking about the execution of these 13 people. Beside the 13 people, so many people died. For the love of peace, we are no longer celebrating April 12th. For love of peace, we are not celebrating April 12th. April 12th is supposed to be our second Independence Day. But for peace sake, we stop celebrating April 12th. Because if we're celebrating April 12th, having program, do this, these are our heroes, probably at City Hall. The family of those 13 people will be hurt. So, for peace sake, we're not celebrating April 12th. But every April 22nd, the family of those people, they will carry flower to BTC memorial service. I would want to recommend everybody that died during the war, you all recommend to the government so they will build one monument for all of them, so that Memorial Day will go there and carry flower instead of one set of people. Thank you.
Thank you, General Dubar.